standing on stage at a conference, staring at the audience, and they were all laughing and dancing. They were doing a dance routine I just taught them. And it hit me. Did I really influence all of these people to get up and dance at a conference? I did. And then later on that evening, we all went to a VIP dinner event. And while we're there, I could hear music blasting from a wedding that was happening upstairs. So I'm nosy like this, I had to go over there and see what's going down. So I go over there, and I look at the dance floor, and I see no one dancing. And I think, I gotta do something about this. So I grabbed my friend, and we went over to the bride and groom, and we said, hey, can we bring our people over here and dance on your dance floor? And the groom was like, yes, please help us out. So I went back to the dinner event, and I yelled out something I've always wanted to yell out. I said, yelled, actually, let's go crash this wedding! And then a bunch of us lined up, and we headed over to the dance floor, and I told the DJ, hit our song that we were dancing to earlier today. So he did, and we're back at it, dancing, performing for the bride and groom. I look over at them, and they're laughing and just filled with joy. And then the dance floor fills up with people. And I would love to stand up here and tell y'all that I'm the kind of person who can win over a crowd in a matter of moments. But that just hasn't always been the case. In fact, years ago, I was interviewing for my then dream job. It was an opportunity to travel around the world doing yoga, representing a popular yoga magazine. And I was there for the interview, and we were doing a photo shoot. It was part of the interview where you had to strike a yoga pose and they took a picture. And there was 5 other candidates there. And they were doing their poses, and I noticed they were doing poses that I couldn't do. So my thought was, I'm the least qualified candidate here. And as soon as I told myself that, I could feel my heart picking up. And I was getting sweaty. And they said, hey, everybody needs to line up. We're gonna go in for our verbal part of the interview. And I'm standing, waiting to go in. I can feel like cotton mouth drying out. I start to get really shaky. I walk into the interview and I sit down. And the interviewer looks at me and she says, okay, Ange, go ahead and just tell us a little bit more about yourself. So I open my mouth and I just start rambling and rambling, on and on. And I'm watching her and I notice she starts to get restless. She looks at her phone, looks up at me, and I just keep talking, hoping that I can say something to get her to like me. And the interview ended. My heart sunk as I knew I just blew this interview. And sure enough, I got the news. I did not get the job. So, what happened in that interview? Why couldn't I just be myself? It was because I caved under the pressure to be liked. And then I thought, there's going to be more times in my life where I'm going to feel that pressure to be liked. And my success is going to depend on that. So how can I handle that better? And what can I do to become more likable? So I started doing research on likability, and I found 2 things that influence people to really like you. Number 1, people like people who are like them. Number 2, people like people who like them. Amen. And it makes perfect sense when you think about how the human brain is wired. It's wired for survival. So when people come to us and they're friendly to us, they like us, or they show that they're similar to us, they have something in common with us, we tend to think about them as part of our tribe. And that makes us feel safer around them. So I was reflecting back on another dream job interview I had. And I went into the interview and I felt the same nerves kicking in. My mouth was drying out, I did the shaky thing again. But this time, I didn't cave under the pressure. I shifted my focus to the interviewer, and I started telling her all the things I genuinely liked about her and what we had in common. I got to the point that I felt so confident and comfortable that I started telling her about that one time when I was in Army basic training and I got a staph infection in my knee and it got bloody and pussy and it was exploding. And as soon as I said it, I was like, I wanted to take it back, but it was already said. And I look at her and she says, my husband had a similar infection before. And it was like we bonded over the grossness of this commonality. So then I leave that interview and I'm in my car and I'm just like, and why did you go? You guys know that blood pus thing in the interview? Like he didn't have to do that. And I'm hating on myself about it. And I look down and I see my phone is vibrating and it's her. She's calling me. So I pick up the phone and I say, hello, this is Angela. And she said, hey Angela, I was just calling to let you know that I wanted to give you this opportunity. And I said, what? For real? I was so excited. I started like stomping my feet in the car. And I could hear the smile from like on the other side of the phone. And she said, yes. And then I paused and I thought, why would she want to hire me? I was the least qualified candidate. I mean, that other chick, she had 14 years of experience. I had 0. And I was the youngest who have ever been offered that kind of role. So I went back to her and I said, after all this pausing on awkward silence, I went back to her and I said, can I ask you, why did you hire me? And she said 3 words that forever changed my life. She said, because I like you. And this was the job opportunity that took my family out of generational poverty. And because she liked me so much, she actually went on to hire my sister. And that took her out of poverty. And that meant the world to me. The fact that my likability could not only help me, but my family. So I started thinking about helping other people, maybe that were like me, maybe not the most qualified candidate, but had a deep desire in their heart to improve their life or the life of their family members. So I reflected back on that interview, like, what did I do to become so likable? That we all could do. And it was this. When I started noticing myself getting nervous, I shifted the focus off of me onto her, and I started highlighting the goodness in her, what I liked about her, what we had in common. And as I started talking about it, my energy was shifting. I was becoming more confident, and she was beginning to like me more. Why? Because I made her feel good. Why? Because energy is contagious. And when I started feeling good, she started feeling good. And what's really interesting about this is supported by some research by a guy named Gerald Zaltman. He's a Harvard business professor, very well researched in marketing and influence. And he says this, 95% of the decisions we make are based on how we feel. So one of the most powerful communication skills you can learn is how to shift how you feel and someone else feels. And one of the best methods to do this is what I call the highlighter method, which is just simply you highlighting the goodness in other people. And you can point out what it is you like about them or what it is you have in common with them. Another professor whose research I really admire is named Dr. Mitch Prinstein. He's a professor of neuroscience and psychology, and he's been studying peer relations and popularity for over 20 years. Very, very well researched in this space. And he says this, the data is very clear. Even kids that tend to be likable go on to have benefits that last decades. They make more money, they grow up to have healthier marriages, they live longer, and get this, even their kids tend to do better in life. He says, likability is an extraordinary, powerful tool, yet not many of us are teaching on it. So I went on to teach thousands of my career coaching clients over the years how to be more likable using the highlighter method. And this is what they told me. They said, "Ange, during that interview, I didn't even feel nervous. They seemed to really like me. I was the least qualified, and they gave me the job." So, the next time you're in a position where you feel the pressure to be liked, or you find yourself getting nervous, use the highlighter method. Shift the focus off of yourself and onto others, and tell them what it is you like about them or have in common with them. Because in a world filled with red ink,